Okay, we're on our. Okay, I'll call a meeting to the Cass County Joint Water Resource Special Meeting to order. And we are going to start with Joel Paulson going over the action to be awarded today.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members of the board. I have one item for you to consider today, and that is the selection of a proposer for the P3 portion of the Diversion Authority program. So I'll just jump right in, and I'll do a brief presentation, certainly open it up for any questions, and then it'll be up for the board to concur if the board would like to move forward. So, on January 15th, 2021, the Diversion Authority released the final request for proposals to design, build, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel and associated infrastructure work package of the Fargo-Moorhead Metropolitan Area Flood Risk Management Project. On March 24th, 2021, the Diversion Authority received technical proposals from two teams qualified through the request for qualifications process that occurred in 2016. The technical proposals were evaluated over a 2-week period by representatives of each of the member entities comprising the Diversion Authority against established criteria regarding the management of the project, the schedule, and the technical solutions. The Diversion Authority received financial proposals on May 17, 2021 from the same teams. These financial proposals presenting the financial arrangements to design, construct, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel were reviewed for accuracy by the Diversion Authority's fiscal agent, Mr. Kent Costin, who is assisted by members of the Ernst & Young Infrastructure Advisors. In accordance with the request for proposals, the resulting technical proposal score and the financial information provided by each team was used to determine a technically adjusted financial proposal score and for the selection of the successful proposer that will be the authority's partner for the next 35 years. Based on the evaluations of technical and financial proposals received and evaluated, and consistent with the evaluation and award requirements of the request for proposals, the Diversion Authority Finance Committee the Diversion Authority recommends awarding this public-private partnership contract to design, construct, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel and associated infrastructure work package to the proposer who has had the lowest technically adjusted proposal score. That consortium is called the Red River Valley Alliance. Corporation Acciona Infrastructures, SL. On the second page of my handout, you will see the compared authorities estimate and that of the Red River Valley Alliances. I'll go through that now. The first box is the technically adjusted financial score. That is a metric of taking into account the financial proposals and the technical proposals. The next item down is the capital AP. Those are payments that will begin after the construction of the project. And then you'll see the maintenance AP, items that will take place after the construction of the project on an annualized basis. And then the last box is the milestone payments. And that is the payments due to the contractor during the construction period. So you can compare those numbers. Basically, they're very similar to what our estimates were. And my recommendation is for the Cass County Joint Water Resource Board to concur on the selection of Red River Valley Alliance. I'll open it up for any questions that the board may have.
Is there any questions of the board? Any discussion? If not, I guess I will entertain a motion. The motion is on the sheet before you.
I would move to concur with the recommendation for the authority to award the P3 agreement to design, construct, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel and associated infrastructure work package to the Red River Valley Alliance. The prosper with the lowest technical adjusted financial score, subject to any changes, requirements, or amendments to the project agreement deemed necessary by the General Counsel and the Executive Director.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Manager Jacobson,
Yes.
Manager Olson,
Yes.
Manager Lougheed,
Yes.
Manager Gust,
Yes.
Manager Weston,
Yes.
Motion carried. Okay, being this is a special meeting, that's the only item we are here to address today, so if there's nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I will second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Could I please have you take a chair? The Diversion Authority Finance Committee will please come to order. The first order of business is to call on our Executive Director, Joel Paulson, for a report. Mr. Paulson.
Thank you, Chairman Dardis, members of the Finance Committee. Thank you for meeting today. I have one action in front of you, and that is the selection of the P3 proposer for the Diversion Authority program. I'll do a brief presentation. You do have the handouts with the numbers. I can certainly go through those and answer any questions after my presentation. On January 15th, 2021, the Diversion Authority released the final request for proposals to design, build, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel and associated infrastructure work package of the Fargo-Moorhead Metropolitan Area Flood Risk Management Project. On March 24th, 2021, the Diversion Authority received technical proposals from two teams qualified through the request for qualifications process that occurred in 2016. The technical proposals were evaluated over a 2-week period by representatives of each of the member entities comprising the Diversion Authority against established criteria regarding the management of the project, the schedule, and the technical solutions. The Diversion Authority received financial proposals on May 17th, 2021 from the same teams. These financial proposals presenting the financial arrangements to design, construct, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel were reviewed for accuracy by the Diversion Authority's fiscal agent, Mr. Kent Costin, who was assisted by members of Ernst & Young Infrastructure Advisors. In accordance with the request for proposals, the resulting technical proposal scores and the financial information provided by each team was used to determine the technically adjusted financial proposal scores and recommended the selection of the successful proposer that will be the authority's partner for the next 35 years. Based on the evaluations of technical and financial proposals received and evaluated, and consistent with the evaluation and award requirements of the request for proposals, I, the Executive Director of the Diversion Authority, recommend awarding this public-private partnership contract to design, construct, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel and associated infrastructure work package to the proposer who had the lowest technically adjusted proposal score, the Red River Valley Alliance, Corporation Acciona Infrastructures SL. I'll now direct your attention to the second page of my handout that contains the authority's estimate along with Red River Valley Alliance's proposal. And I'll open it up for any questions that there might be from the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Are there any questions from the Finance Committee? Seeing none, the chair recognizes Vice Chairman of the Finance Committee, Rick Steen. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move to recommend that the authority award the P3 agreement to design, construct, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel and associated infrastructure to Red River Valley Alliance, Corporation Acciona Infrastructure SL, the proposer who had the lowest technical adjusted proposal score, subject to any changes, requirements, and/or amendments to the project agreement deemed necessary by the General Counsel and the Executive Director.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Cass County Chairman Chad Peterson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Don, would you please call the roll for the Finance Committee?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney.
Aye.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson.
Yes.
Mr. Costin.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson. Mr. Montplaisir.
Yes.
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Mr. Gehrig. Mayor Carlson.
Don Pipcorn is in for Garrick, please.
Okay,
I'm the
thank you.
alternate. I vote aye.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mr. Reeds.
Aye.
That is everyone.
Thank you, Don. The motion passes. Thank you. On behalf of my being chairman of this committee, I'd like to thank you for all the diligence that the Finance Committee has been put into this effort up to this point. Thank you very much. Is it- The Finance Committee is adjourned.
Everybody, please take your seats. Everybody, please take your seats. Everybody, please take your seats.
Good afternoon. If everyone could please take your seats, we will be beginning a special Diversion Board of Authority meeting. It is 1:07 on June 18th, 2021, and I'm calling to order a special session of the Board of Authority. Could I get a roll call, please?
Mayor Carlson.
Yes, here.
Dr. Mahoney.
Here.
Mayor Dardis.
Here.
Mr. Peterson.
I'm here.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Me? Here.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Here.
Mr. Ebbinger.
Here.
Ms. Preston.
Here.
Mr. Campbell. Mrs. Shirlene.
I'm here.
Mr. Steen.
Here.
Mr. Olson. Here. Mr. Seldebold.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you, Don. And just for everyone, the microphones are working a little bit differently today. If you need to speak, you will need to push the button so it's green and then push it again so it's red, so you're on mute. Could I get a motion to approve the order of the agenda, please?
Steen moves.
Mahoney, second.
Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, could I get a roll call, please?
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney.
Aye.
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Yes.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Ebbinger.
Aye.
Ms. Preston.
Aye.
Mrs. Shirlene.
Yes.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Mr. Olson.
Yes.
Mr. Seldebold.
Yes.
That is everyone.
Thank you. Moving on to the agenda, we have a public hearing. Could I get a motion to open the public hearing, please?
So moved.
Olson seconds.
I believe I can do a voice call vote for this. So all in favor of opening the public hearing, please by saying yes.
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 Any opposed? The hearing is open to the public. For those in the public who wish to speak, you do need to have signed up beforehand. We will allow 30 minutes total. Each person gets to speak for 3 minutes, and that will be timed. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak? Again, any members of the public who wish to speak? Hearing none, could I get a motion to close the public hearing portion of the meeting?
Steen moves.
Ebbinger, second.
All in favor of closing the public hearing, please by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to number 4, other business. And I will be turning this over to Executive Director Joel Paulson. Oh, I was looking for you over there, sorry.
I tricked you. I'm at the table today. So, thank you, Chairwoman Carlson, and members of the board and distinguished guests here today. I'm going to do a brief presentation and present the proposal numbers to the board. Certainly open it up for any questions that you may have, and then I'll be recommending the board take a vote on the selection of the proposer to build the diversion channel and associated infrastructure. On January 15, 2021, the Diversion Authority released a final request for proposals to design, build, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel and associated infrastructure work package of the Fargo-Moorhead Metropolitan Area Flood Risk Management Project. On March 24, 2021, the Diversion Authority received technical proposals from 2 teams qualified through the request for qualifications process that occurred in 2016. The technical proposals were evaluated over a 2-week period by representatives of each of the member entities comprising the Diversion Authority against established criteria regarding the management of the project, the schedule, and the technical solutions. The Diversion Authority received financial proposals on May 17, 2021 from the same teams. These financial proposals, presenting the financial arrangements to design, construct, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel, were reviewed for accuracy by Diversion Authority's fiscal agent, Mr. Kent Costin, who was assisted by members of Ernst & Young Infrastructure Advisors. In accordance with the request for proposals, the resulting technical proposal scores and the financial information provided by each team was used to determine the technically adjusted financial proposal scores and select the successful proposer that will be the authority's partner for the next 35 years. Based on the evaluation of technical and financial proposals received and evaluated, and consistent with the evaluation and award requirements of the request for proposals, the Diversion Authority Finance Committee recommends awarding this public-private partnership contract to design, construct, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel and associated infrastructure work package to the proposer who had the lowest technically adjusted proposal score, Red River Valley Alliance, Corporation Acciona Infrastructure, SL. In conformance with the resolution establishing procedures and protocols for the request for proposal phase of the P3 procurement and approving, issuing, and authorizing dissemination of the request for proposals to design, build, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel and associated infrastructure work package of the Fargo-Moorhead Metropolitan Area Flood Risk Management Project, the Cass County Joint Water Resource District also concurred with this recommendation. As your executive director, it is my pleasure to present the proposals on page 2 of the handout. You'll see the authority's estimate in comparison with the 2 teams. They've provided what we refer to as the capital AP and maintenance AP. Those are annualized costs over the 30-year period after construction, along with the final row on the bottom, the milestone payments. And you can compare those extremely close to the authority's estimates. And I'll open it up for any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Executive Director Paulson. Any questions?
I have
Commissioner Popcorn?
I have a question for Joel. Joel, can you talk a little bit about the low bid and the company? And then can you talk about how local contractors will be the subs for this, if you don't mind? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Commissioner Popcorn. So the Red River Valley Alliance is made up of multiple entities. They have a national design team, a national construction team, all of which have also included local subcontractors from the Fargo-Moorhead community as well. We anticipate that as we begin to have additional discussions and award this, that there will be continued opportunities for local contractors to be involved with this project. I think from our best guess, it's going to be much cheaper to employ local labor and on this size of a construction project. than it will be to necessarily relocate a large population and workforce here. So certainly we'll keep the board apprised of the companies as we work with the proposer and we get a listing of all of the different members of their entity, and provide that information for your review. So.
Can I have a quick follow-up? Can you talk about the low bidder, their experience, and where do they do projects?
Absolutely, Commissioner Pepcorn. So Acciona is a global construction project management firm. They're located, headquartered in Spain. However, they have a very large North American presence. They've been doing P3 work in Canada for decades. We have been working with them through the procurement process for a number of years now. The authority is extremely comfortable with the qualifications of them and their design team, and we look forward to moving forward and starting construction on this vital project.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson and Mr. Pepcorn. Any further questions or comments? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved. Mahoney.
Did you want to read the official motion, Mayor Mahoney?
You want me to read the motion? I move to approve the awarding the P3 agreement to design, construct, finance, operate, and maintain the diversion channel and associated infrastructure work package to the Red River Valley Alliance. I won't speak it in Spanish. The proposal with the lowest technical adjusted financial score, subject to any changes, requirements, and/or amendments of the project to agreement deemed necessary by General Counsel and the Executive Director.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, could I get a roll call, please?
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney.
Aye.
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Ebbinger.
Aye.
Ms. Preston.
Aye.
Mrs. Sherling.
Yes.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Mr. Olson.
Yes.
Mr. Seldebold.
Aye.
That is everyone.
Thank you, Don. And this incredibly momentous motion has carried unanimously. All right, moving on, the next, yes. I think I'll do it. Thank you. Yes, this is incredible. Because I have to stick with my agenda, I just want to announce number 5 on the agenda. Our next meeting of the Board of Directors of the Diversion Authority Board will be June 24th, 2021. Now, could I get a motion to adjourn?
Peterson motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Right. Special session and meeting has been adjourned. Thank you all. Has gone down a little bit now. My name is Shelley Carlson. I am the mayor of Moorhead, and I am the very proud chair of the Metro Diversion Authority. Before I turn this over to Senator Hoeven and our other esteemed guests, I just want to make a few comments. As chair of the FMDA board, there is much for us to be proud of, collectively proud of today. Today's selection of the Red River Valley Alliance as our P3 partner for the Diversion Channel adds to what has already been an amazing year for us so far and for the 4 months that I've been chair. First, securing the support of the North Dakota legislature, then securing the federal government's support of our financing through the EPA's WIFIA program, and now today selecting a world-class developer for the Diversion Channel. It's important to remember that our successes have come in partnerships that are across state lines, across party lines, across city and county borders. This is a project that enjoys strong public support across our communities, and we recognize that we still have work to do to engage those communities that will be more directly affected by this project. And as Commissioner Olson always reminds us, that there are a lot of people who have sacrificed significantly for this project, so we want to thank them. In order to honor that support and the sacrifices that have made for this project, we recognize there's much left for us to do. It's been a long journey since 2009. And while I'm confident in our success, it will not come automatically. As a board, we recognize that we need to partner with and guide our developer from a new perspective, one focused on the larger picture and a final outcome that we are pursuing. We also need to ask our communities for their continued support and patience. Having withstand legal challenges that delayed us for years, we are now working as hard and as fast as we can to deliver the project safely and efficiently. We cannot make 2027 come any faster, but by working together, we can make the construction process as smooth and successful as possible. We look forward to welcoming the Red River Valley Alliance, which will rapidly become a major employer and player in our local economy. In closing, I want to thank everyone who has been on this journey with us. There are many, so many that it would take all day to name them. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention one person by name, and Senator Hoeven, Governor Burgum, Representative Armstrong, and Major General Holland, Colonel Jansen, Director O'Connell. Thank you all, but I also want to recognize and strongly thank Attorney John Shockley for his incredible work on this project. So thank you, everyone. And with that, I'd like to turn over to Senator Hoeven. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Carlson. Thanks for your great leadership. And I think it's amazing, 4 months ago, you took over the Diversion Authority, and here we are, just like that, 4 months.
Incredible leadership.
Big congratulations to everybody. Don't you all feel like clapping a little more? Come on, let's let it out. Congratulations, way to go. Woo-hoo. So we're going to have a little discussion, and then I think about 2 o'clock we'll have a press conference. But this is the epitome of a partnership. And I guess the question I would pose right up front is, how does it feel to be a first in the nation? How does it feel, Fargo, West Fargo, Moorhead, Cass, Clay County, Red River Valley, to be the first in the nation? Because that's what this is. This is a first. I mean, it's a first in terms of a PPP project for core-sponsored flood protection, right? Public-private partnership, P3, nobody else has done that before. That's a first. And then to put a WIFIA loan on top of it to the tune of more than $500 million, never been done before. So this is a first in the nation. And I think, as we've talked about before, people from all over the country are going to look at this and say, hey, how do we do that too? Because as we talk about this, and we'll have more in the press conference in terms of, the savings, both in terms of dollars and time, it's huge. It's huge. And that's why this is the model that people are going to gravitate to. And not just because it's good at the local level, it saves money for taxpayers and gets that flood protection in place sooner. Not just because it's good for the states, I should say, because they contribute, but overall save money on flood protection. It's good for the federal government. The federal government has a huge backlog of projects. If they want to build them for less money and faster, this is the model. And so again, it's a partnership like none other, and big time congratulations to everybody that's worked so hard on this. As Mayor Carlson said correctly, going back to 2009. And so it's hard to build anything along these lines, let alone a new, innovative $3.2 billion flood protection project. But this is the model of the future. This is a first in the nation. So I'll have a few more comments, but let me turn at this point. We're going to have kind of work our way around here and give folks a chance to comment in terms of their efforts and their participation. Like I say, it is a partnership like none other. So on the federal end, I want to thank, obviously, Kelly Armstrong, who's here with us, and certainly Senator Kramer for their hard work on this thing. And of course, the federal work continues. It's a $750 million authorization. We've actually appropriated $310 million of that to date, and the WIFIA loan, and we'll continue to work on the federal end of it and advance it with our good friends from the Corps. obviously Governor Burgum leading the charge, not only in terms of getting some of the modifications made, I guess, with our friends in Minnesota so that we could clear all the lawsuits, but then also leading the charge at the state legislature. I'm going to call on him to say a few words, and then I'm going to see if I can't track all the legislators that are here off my list so we can recognize them. I'm pretty sure you'll want to do that, right? That we'll want to have them stand up and give them a thanks. But also, I do want to acknowledge that we have Major General Diana Holland here, who's the Mississippi Valley Division Commander, and the fact that she's here speaks to the importance and the national scope of this project, right? I mean, she's here for a reason, because this is such an important project to the Corps and to the country, and so we're very honored to have you here. And of course, we think Colonel Jansen's pretty great, so if you want to promote him, what are you, full? Are you full colonel? Okay, well, if you want to bump him up to brigadier, that, you know, right here now, we can add that to. And did she say yes or no? I couldn't see down there. But, and then, you know, to Mayor Mahoney and Mayor Dardis, all the, touch on the local, all the commissioners, city and county commissioners who have moved heaven and earth to make this happen. So, Gov, how about I take a look at the legislator list so we can recognize them, and why don't you say a few words and then we'll do that. Would that be all right? Super. All right.
Thanks, Senator Hoban. There's so much gratitude that we need to hold for so many people, and many of those people are here in this room, and many of them have been working on this so long they maybe aren't in the room today. But whether it's the mayors at the table, the former mayors that I see in the audience, like Bruce Furness, the commissioners that are here at the table, former commissioners, private sector business leaders that I see around the table. I know there's people here like Aaron and Terry and others from the Corps that have been working on this since at least 2009. There's just so many people that have been working so long, and so this is such a great team effort. And as Senator Hoban said, this is historic what's happening here today, but it's also, I think that as a community, we need to take a look around and understand that this has always been about family. This has always been about community. This has been, as Mayor Carlson was saying, this is about crossing state lines and political lines and working together for the benefit of the jobs and the people in the community. And this metro area needs to not only hold itself up in terms of the funding mechanism that's being put in place today, but it should also be held up as an example for the country, how people, when they work together and care about each other, just like when, with the same energy that went into helping people sandbag through all those floods, that same kind of energy has gone into trying to come over all the hurdles that have been crossed here. So, and when we talk about a project that helps family and helps community, there is likely nothing that, we know there's nothing that ever has been built. There may not be anything that is built in North Dakota that has the impact of this thing, because we're talking about a project that's going to protect more than $20 billion. By the time it's done, it might be $25 billion of property value. And it's not just about property value, it's what that represents and what the people do inside that. We certainly saw in this last year, battling a global pandemic, that the nearly 25% of the state's hospital capacity is in the protected area of this diversion. And that played a critical role in saving lives this last year. We've got an entire, one of our two research institutions is here entirely within the protected area. With the growth that we're seeing in the West Metro area, we're now closing in on 60 K-12 schools that will be protected within this protected area. And it's not, again, just about the communities of, you know, Moorhead, Fargo, West Fargo, Horace, Harwood, those communities and the growth in them. But we know that in this community, it's been shared before. Commissioner Peterson has talked about this, but the tens of thousands of people that commute from more than is up to and beyond 60 miles a day to come and work in this community, and what those jobs mean. Because again, that this metro area accounts for often over 20% of the sales tax in the state of North Dakota. So this is really a statewide project. Even though it's protecting a community, it's far more than that. And so, and that's why we always knew it was that important. We knew it was that important when this thing stalled out and looked like it didn't have a future. And that's why Governor Dayton and I got together in a conference room over at the Yumcom Center across the river, and the two of us were in that room, and we said, we've got to figure out a way to get this thing going again. And we agreed, to put together a 16-member task force, 8 from each state, and we spent both governors 8 hours a day, 5 days, plus all of the 16 appointees, and we listened to every idea and every critique and every criticism and every challenge and every problem and every alternative that had been discussed in the decade before. We listened to them all one more time. We came up with a plan B that is, had addressed over 50 different criteria that were brought up and successfully achieved the permit from the Minnesota DNR. And so that effort and all the people that worked on that, including there's people around this table that were part of that effort, we say thank you for that effort because we needed that to get this thing going again. And like Governor Dayton, now Governor Walz has been a solid supporter and of this and partner in this project and understands again that we have to be able to transcend politics and to figure out a way to work together for the benefit of our communities. I think the thing that gets lost sometimes when we talk about the size and scale and we start talking around numbers like how many billions of dollars it's going to cost, that people lose sight of the fact about how cost effective this is. Because we do flood protection all over the state. Senator Hoeven knows that. His hometown of Minot was devastated in 2011. There was people here at the table that worked when and understood what we were fighting in 1997, at the time when we saved Fargo-Moorhead, not every home, but saved the community, but we lost Grand Forks. People understand in our state the devastation that can mean. But on this project, this has got some of the highest return on investment of anything that our state water commission or our legislature's ever invested in. It's over $14 of property of value protected for every dollar of state money that's being spent on it. And in that understanding is part of the reason why this spring our legislature, which we're going to acknowledge in a minute and give them a big shout out, but they stepped up and passed a historic bonding bill this spring, which included $435 million for the diversion. That not only fulfilled the state's earlier commitment of $750 million, it expanded it to $870. Well, I think everybody knows we have a conservative legislature and we have an approach in our administration that we want to spend dollars wisely. So why did that number went up? It went up because we can actually save taxpayers money. By moving forward with a P3 that can be completed by 2027, having the security of the financing, it's estimated that we'll save over $20 million in taxpayer dollars alone just from the elimination of short-term borrowing and added expenses associated with that financing uncertainty. I know that there are a number here, we'll compare our lists here, Senator Hoeven, but I know they're not in the room, but I do want to give a shout out to Senate Majority Leader Rich Wardner and House Majority Leader Chet Pollard, who helped champion this. We also had some key leadership here in Fargo. Senator Ron Sorbog, who I know is here. I see in front of him Representative Michelle Strinden, Representative Austin Schauer, former Representative, now our great State Treasurer Thomas Beadle, who's always been a strong supporter of this thing, and of course Jim Schmidt from the West, but it leads the legislature on a lot of issues related to water. That was some of the key leadership there. And if you've got anybody else on your list, I wanted to take a pause and say thank you to all of our legislators for stepping up and making this historic.
Yeah, why don't we just have all legislators that are here, would you stand up and maybe we could recognize them in case we missed any, if Governor missed any legislators that he...
And former legislators as well. Tony
Some
Grinberg.
former legislators too. Former.
Tony Grinberg, former state senator. Do we miss any, Tony? Current or former? You guys aren't, oh yeah, that's right. Kelly Armstrong, former.
Yeah.
We might let him talk to his congressman, so. All right, guys, thanks.
And I want to say again, but we couldn't have got it done alone at the state level. And part of the reason the state acted is because they know that we have a fantastic CODEL with Senator Hoeven leading the charge, Senator Kramer, Congressman Armstrong, who in the time that he was a senator in the state legislature and was a champion of smart infrastructure. We're fortunate to be so well represented in Washington, D.C. with such strong influence and And it's going to, again, as Senator Hoban said, historic what's happening today. But I want to just say thanks to Senator Hoban. It's not just been today, but as governor, he supported flood protection when he was a new senator. In 2011, when Minot went under, he was supporting it. He's been fighting for these changes for a long time, and here we are today. Not a surprise that we have a former governor and someone who is a banker leading the best new financing infrastructure in the country, the model for the country, and that's part of that's coming by our team from the federal team. So let's give it up for our federal Codell. Senator Hogan, everybody. And I would say that, again, I also want to give a shout out too, because there's other federal agencies. I know that there's representatives of the EPA here. We're deeply grateful to their work as well. It was great, along with our senators and Congressman Armstrong, to host the new EPA administrator in Bismarck last week. We had great meetings with him, and we appreciate their federal collaboration. And in closing, I would just say it seems odd to be standing here today talking about flood protection when I've just spent the last 4 days in 5 different cities across the state, from Medora to Rugby to Washburn to Fargo to Jamestown, talking with our producers, our farmers and ranchers who are in the grips of the one of the worst droughts the state's ever seen. 100% of the state of North Dakota is officially in drought status. 2/3 of the state of North Dakota is in the D3, D4, which is either the extreme or exceptional category. We're staring down the face of billions, if not tens of billions of dollars of potential losses for our farmers and ranchers. But as we do that, we need to also remember the last super severe drought in North Dakota of this scale was in that 88 timeframe. And we know what happened in 1989, which is I was sandbagging homes for team members of Great Plains here in Fargo. And so we know that that 7 of the top 10 river crests in the Red River Valley have happened here in the last 25 years. And we can move into dry cycles and wet cycles very quickly. And so when the flooding returns, we know we'll need to be ready. And again, I want to say congratulations to everybody around the table on this historic vote that was just taken. We're very excited about the Red River Valley Alliance. With the WIFIA loan that's going to be signed today, we're making history today, but we're one step closer to 2027 because for everybody that owns a home in this or a business in the protected area, anybody that owns a home or business, we ought to have another celebration when the last person in this community is paying a dime of flood insurance. And that is going to save tens of millions of dollars for our citizens every year and year in and year out per perpetuity. So anyway, fantastic project, incredible team effort, great day for celebration. Wouldn't have happened with all of you here in the room, everybody at the table and everybody in the room. So again, thank you, congratulations, and you have the deepest gratitude from myself, from Lieutenant Governor Brent Sanford, the First Lady, everybody that's worked on this, and on behalf of anybody who has ever lived or has a home or has a kid or has spent a day in the hospital in this community, this is a day for everybody to celebrate. So thank you all and congratulations.
Thanks, Gov, and thanks for your great leadership and getting involved in setting up the Joint Commission that really ironed out some of the issues that were so important to get the litigation done. And so great leadership. Thanks so much. Let me turn to Congressman Kelly Armstrong for some comments at this time. Kelly, thanks for being here and thanks for your commitment to it.
And I'll be brief, but I can tell you this project predates my involvement in politics. I feel like I've followed it a long ways. I remember the first person to ever speak to me about the diversion was Senator Tony Grinberg behind his desk on the floor of the North Dakota legislature in 2013. The first person to ever, I don't know if lecture or stern talking to is the right way to say it, to talk to me in that manner about the diversion long before he ever became the mayor of West Fargo was my good friend Bernie Dardis, almost in the exact spot in the state Senate legislature. And I came up and I was a new senator from the western part of the state, and we were going through a whole different type of infrastructure struggle and really recognize how long of project this is coming. And I think that's probably one thing that has impressed me the most as this has moved on is the tenacity of this community and the state and everybody involved. We have cycled through elected officials in every single area that this project comes from, governor to senator to congressman to members of the Senate to members of the House. but the project has moved forward. And I would be remiss if I didn't say the tenacity of Senator Hoeven and his knowledge of how all of this stuff works and how to put a project like this together. And where we are at right now, from where we were in 2013 when I first started being in the project, is truly amazing. And it's because there's a lot of people that have done a lot of hard work. The lawyer is only 24. So he's aged a lot in the last 3 years. So, but I mean, there have been, and from Governor Burgum working with the state of Minnesota, who weren't always, or at least not all of them were always willing partners in a lot of this, and getting those things solved has really, really accomplished something that is going to be incredibly important. I learned more about flood maps than I ever thought I would know throughout this project. I always thought if a cottonwood grew somewhere, then it probably flooded at some point in time. But learning how valuable it is to the entire state of North Dakota and our economy and our communities has just been, it's really been a rewarding project to be a part of, and I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate it. And you're right. You know, this is really a unique partnership, and certainly Governor Burgum's efforts to get together with Governor Dayton were really important in the process. The next guy, I think, I don't know if he's going to be able to handle it, but 6 years from now, when we actually finish this thing, I think if he can stand up there and not cry, I'll be astounded. Talk about somebody who's just had his heart and soul in this project since 2011. And I think he's given out 1,000 of those vests that he used to give out. And I think he actually he'll kind of miss the sandbagging, actually, but he won't say that. Mayor Mahoney, we've actually passed more than 12 pieces of legislation. And I think before every single one, you called me and said, hey, we need to pass, or we need this. And we've passed everything from, you know, the WRDA, the New Start, the PPP authorizations, the funding authorizations, easement approvals, but almost every time I can think back, you were ironing out some problem. And, you know, you'd get a group together and come down to DC. But without your tenacity, of course, we wouldn't be here, but really a labor of love for you. So would certainly welcome any thoughts you have at this point.
Well, thank you very much, Senator. It's a fantastic day today. Before I stress the impacts of today's fantastic event, I'd like to offer a few words of appreciation. First, thank you, Senator Hoeven, for continuing, as you have for countless years, being one of the greatest advocates and champion for permanent flood protection for the people of Fargo. We'd serve you up a problem, you serve him up alphabet soup and figure out a way to solve it, but you always had a way of coming around the corner and figuring it out. And thank you, Governor Burgum, for your willingness to work collaboratively with many of the stakeholders via the task force and your support in the funding and getting this project to move forward. Had you not done that task force, I think we still would be in litigation and still have issues at this time. I also want to thank all the state legislative team that came up with the bonding idea. For our team, that's fantastic. We saved mileage because we had to go out to the legislative body every 2 years and beg for money. And now we've got the money in hand, and that's fantastic for our project. So the leadership and the foresight of the legislative team has just been fantastic. Very, very appreciative. Thank you, Representative Armstrong, for your support and long journey through your time in North Dakota and now in your service to Washington. To all our partners and friends in the U.S. Corps of Engineers, you have stuck with us and been consistent advocates on our behalf. We could have not asked for a better partner. I also must appreciate all the partners around the table that sit at this table, as well as the former mayors Judd, former mayors Williams and Furness that sit around here as well. And to our partners in Cass County and our rural residents as well. Thanks for the Diversion Authority staff and consultants, along with the members of Team Fargo, who have invested countless hours in making the diversion project possible. If you don't know it, we have over 300 consultants that are working in the community at this time on this project. I would also like to remind you of Mark Bittner was our first engineer on this, and Nathan Beerbohm on our Fargo engineering team for his passion, expertise, and calm leadership as our lead engineer for in-town flood protection efforts. Nathan, are you over there? Can you stand up, please, so they can see you? Since I was first elected to City Commission in 2005, the citizens of Fargo have held flood protection as the city's top priority. We know that many sacrifices have been made by our residents and businesses for the sake of all of us. Since 2009, 258 in-town properties in Fargo have been acquired to achieve permanent flood protection. Even more incredibly, there were 120 properties acquired before 2009. Just take a second to think about that. Hundreds of people's homes have been given up to ensure the safety and the continued prosperity for all. We also have to reflect for a moment on an immeasurable amount of time and energy given freely to create and place tens of millions of sandbags by our community members throughout the years. We are truly blessed to have witnessed these selfless acts time and time again. There are 3 elements of work that are required to make the diversion project successfully function: the city and the county, the Corps, and the P3 developers. Let's take them one at a time. Number 1, over the last decade, let us be clear, Fargo and Cass County did our part. Specifically in Fargo, we have been successful in building over 21 flood walls in town. We are now rapidly approaching the completion of our levees necessary to allow the FM diversion project to successfully operate. Number 2, the Corps of Engineers projects have been under construction for the last few years here and continues rapid progress. On time, a bit ahead of budget, right? Okay. Number 3, with today's announcement of the selected P3 developer, we'll bring to the table the last piece needed to complete the plan to once and for all achieve permanent flood protection for this region. Often people wonder, how do they fit in all this? What does the construction of a project mean to you, your neighbors, and your children? It means the realization of a vision of Fargo Metro, which may be seemingly impossible only a decade ago, will become a reality in the next 6 years. It means Fargo Metro without flooding uncertainties residents have been living under generations. One where the thoughts of the future include beautiful plazas, new developments, performing arts center, an expanded Fargo Dome, not trap eggs, clay levees, and mountains of sand. It means Fargo Metro, which is finally on the level playing field with the other growing and dynamic communities, not a place with additional hurdles to consider when building and expanding, where developers are asked which property is best for my business and not where can I build to avoid flooding. It means a Fargo Metro that is truly the upper Midwest's brightest star and now fully ready to flourish and become a player on the international arena. One where flooding will never again place great things that we can accomplish on the back burner. It means a Fargo Metro where Sandbag Central is a name you read about in history books, not in the newspaper. One where resolve and selflessness of our people will not be called upon year in and year out. So what does today's announcement mean for the current and future residents of Fargo Metro? It means a better and safer place to live, to work, and to explore. This is the beginning of a new and exciting chapter in the history of the Fargo-Moorhead Metro. And because our future is so bright in the Metro, Roger, I have made sure everybody at the table has sunglasses. Shelley gave out masks, I'm giving out sunglasses, because watch out for the brightness that's going to happen in our community. Thank you.
Gone from those vests to shades. That's good. That's good. Bright future. Okay, let's go to Cass County Chairman Chad Peterson. And since you're sitting next to Mary Sherling, Commissioner Sherling, who did such a great job of leading this diversion authority, if you want, in addition to facing the crowd so everybody can see that great beard, if you want to brag her up for just a little bit, you go right ahead. Mary, thanks so much for your great leadership and all your work.
Well, thank you, Senator. I appreciate your recognition. It really couldn't have been done without all the folks in this room and beyond. It is really a great testament to the cooperative work that we do across the river. And it's not just this project, but we work on a number of other things together. And I just think that we really are a testament to getting things done both in North Dakota and Minnesota. So, but yeah, great day. Very excited that we're all here, and we're gonna see this to the finish line. Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you. Senator, thank you. First of all, a lot of thanks go around the room over and over, but I think it's important. Thank you to our friends, our federal partners in the Army Corps of Engineers. I have no doubt that a handful of years ago, those of you who were assigned to this project, people like Miss Williams that got to hear, I get to spend the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years in Fargo, North Dakota, you probably said to yourself, huh. I hope we have proven to you how amazing of a community we are, how little that legal boundary between North Dakota and Minnesota means to us. As Commissioner Schilling just said, we are one community, always have been, we always will be. So thank you to your partnerships. Senator Hoeven and Senator Klobuchar, I'm sure she'll hear this message too. Thank you. You know we would not be here without you. Not only your leadership as a statewide leader, as a governor, but prior and now as a senator. So thank you for your leadership in Washington, D.C. Congressman Armstrong, you and I have known each other a long time. Thank you for making time to listen to a dummy like me every now and then when I knocked at your door, asked for your advocacy, and asked for a little bit of your time. I'm grateful for that, sir. To one of my top 2 favorite governors, see, Senator, I got you covered there. Top 2 favorite governors, Governor Burgum, thank you for your open mind. Thank you for your innovation and accepting and willingness to be innovative. Thank you for your advocacy for us in the Bismarck area because, again, without you, much like Senator Hoeven, we wouldn't be here. I hope you understand that. I know that, and I hope you understand constituents know that, and this region knows that. Thank you, sir. To our friends in Bismarck, both in the House and the Senate, we know for a fact you don't know every inch of this project. What you voted for was faith in us, faith in the team that's going to get this project done. I hope you understand how grateful I am for that, and I hope we don't let you down. To my other local leaders around this table and in the audience, past and present, thank you. For some of us prior to me, this wasn't as easy of a meeting to have because we had a lot more contention. When I took my commissionship here in 2012, it wasn't easy, but it wasn't as hard as it was after 2009. And Mayor Mahoney, you might remember how some of those meetings went, and I'll get to that in a moment too. But thank you to all the people that took the hard votes. Thank you to all the people that led those meetings, attended those meetings. I often say the more time we spend at this job, the less money we make at this job. So a lot of the meetings we go to, we don't necessarily have to go to, but we feel obligated to because that's our job, that's our role, to be seen and be heard and to listen and to hear what people have as concerns. So thank you to all my elected leaders, both here in Cass and Clay. To the constituents, there's a lot of supporters, but there was a lot of people that didn't support this project too, and Governor Burgum touched on that prior. Iron sharpens iron. I think Project A was perfect, but what if it wasn't? Without our friends that objected to this project, that I believe made this project better, we would not be here either. I think in the end, we owe a debt of gratitude to those people, both for and against this project, because we are better off for it. With that, I will stop, Senator. Thank you for your time.
Very thoughtful and appreciate it. So let's go across the river to Clay County Commission Chairman Dave Ebinger. Dave.
Thank you, Senator. Just my luck to come in behind Chad. When you are not from around here and you look at the Red River as it is today, a slow and placid, easy-looking river, it's hard to imagine it as a threat. I grew up on the Arkansas River, and I was near the Mississippi. And when I came here 16 years ago, my experience with floods, I thought I had a fair amount of knowledge. You avoided the snakes. You arrested the looters. Our version of floods in the South was a little different. I came up here and I can remember expressing my skepticism about the ability of the red to flood to Dr. Bob Zimmerman, city engineer in Moorhead, and he told me to think of that river as a groove in the bottom of a plate. And when you have more water than that groove can hold, the only place it has to go is everywhere. In 2009, I had the misfortune or good fortune to see an actual presentation of that theory. We had a flood here that stunned us. I was Moorhead Police Chief at that point. We went from maybe we need some sandbags to we better start producing sandbags on a massive scale. We went from telling citizens, yeah, you may have to sandbag your backyard, to our commanders in our Moorhead Fire Department going out into neighborhoods and working with people. Our city engineer, Dr. Zimmerman, coming up with where we needed the sandbags, what we needed to do on infrastructure. Just as it was in Fargo, we lost some houses, but we saved the majority of our city through the sweat and the efforts of the people who live there, neighbors taking care of neighbors. It taught me about this region. Again, I was not from around here. I didn't know how things worked. In the over a decade since that happened, the commitment that elected officials, some of whom are with us here functioning today, others who are visiting here, elected officials made a commitment to save this community. They would not lose that river. My predecessor, Grant Whalen, who's here today, has given me a great insight into what the expectation is for me as the new guy in supporting this project. But I watched. I was a flood fighter. That 09 made me that. And although I've not been part of this process till the start of this year, I watched what the elected officials, initially in 2 cities, then in 2 counties, and then in 2 states, did through cooperation, through the willingness to compromise, through the long, arduous hours, and the support that they got all the way up to the federal level. I've watched us get to this day to day, and I understand the historic significance of it. I'm proud to be a little bit of a part of it as the new guy, but I'm also much prouder to be part of this community. We're not Minnesotans, we're not North Dakotans. We're a community of the Red River Valley, and we stood together to get here. And it's a wonderful occasion. It's great to commemorate this. The flood fight that we had in 09 hardened us, and it taught us we didn't want to see that again. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my old boss, Mike Redlinger, who was kidnapped from Moorhead several years ago and brought to Fargo. Mike led us through that. It was a tough 2 weeks, and we had a lot of challenges and a lot of issues to deal with. And he led us quietly and effectively through it. I again am grateful for the opportunity to address my experience in this today, and I'm proud to be part of this team. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. And I want to pick up on something that Chad said just a minute ago, and that is to thank Amy Klobuchar, too. She's been very helpful to us in this whole process, and was here at our last meeting. And again, just we really appreciate all she has done and continues to do, and joined with us on a letter this year asking for funding, and she's just been very helpful. And so I want to make sure I acknowledge that. And now we're going to swing from the east back to the west. Mayor Bernie Dardis, West Fargo.
Thank you, Senator Hoeven.
Good to have
Great
you.
to have you with us today. Congressman Armstrong, thank you for being here. Governor Burgum, Major General and Colonel, it's a pleasure. Today is a great day for this partnership and these communities that we all represent. This decision today and moving forward has so much more to do than just flood protection. And I hope that the public that's watching and everybody understands the dynamics of our communities and the people that live here, of what this will mean for our communities going into the future. Each day, thousands of people. Commissioner Peterson, he's actually done the logistics on this. I think he's 38,000 and change. Come and go from our communities to work here. West Fargoans, Moorhead, Detroit Lakes, Barnesville, all throughout the region. This will provide them the security that those paychecks and those jobs are here. As important as that is, it provides the security for our hospitals and our senior living, that we don't have to rush to put those on buses and rush them out of town like we did in the past. When Mayor Wallaker stood up to everybody involved and said, no, we're not giving up our cities. It's been represented here that former Mayor Bruce Furness is here. I wish Denny Wallaker was here. Denny and I didn't get along on a whole lot of things. Let's make that perfectly clear. But I wish he was here today, because he'd want to invite you all for a beer, and he'd probably be wearing his vest. And I thank you for not wearing your vest today. The financial elements of what this is going to provide is phenomenal. We have the leadership here today from the trades union. Jason's sitting there with another representative. Look at the jobs that's going to create for that sector of our population. But more importantly, think about the opportunities for apprenticeships when we're dealing with all the workforce issues that we have on all of this that's going to be transpiring here, whether it's working for engineering firms or driving a Caterpillar or driving a truck. The apprenticeships for our young people that will provide them with opportunities and education going forward. And hopefully they'll stay in the Fargo-Moorhead, West Fargo region. I have to go back in time to the evening that Governor Burgum called me. He told me I was the first guy he was calling for the North Dakota representatives for the Joint Governors Commission. He could have been fibbing to me about me being the first one he called, and I'd forgive him for that, by the way. But I kept saying to him, Governor, who else is going to be on this? Because it was at such a standstill. But through your leadership and your idea of calling Mayor Dayton, and I was at a number of meetings with Mayor Dayton during this whole discussion. And with all due respect to Minnesota and the governor, he wasn't as informed as he should have been about the ramifications. You did that for us, Governor. You did that. And that's why we're here today. And I will be eternally grateful for you including me as part of that discussion. Thank you, sir. But look at the ramifications of a simple phone call from one of our great leaders to another great leader in Minnesota. We're here today to sign agreements, $500 million loans, thanks to John Shockley's unbelievable work that he's done for this community. It's crazy. To Congressman Armstrong, my sincere apologies for my transgressions in the manner of which you talked to. You know, to me, you were a great senator from Dickinson, North Dakota, and who in the hell ever thought you'd be a United States congressman? So, sincerely, Kelly, when you first said the first part, you know, you referred to me as your friend. I truly regard you as a friend. It's a man I respect immensely, and we're West River boys and we'll always hang together. So my apologies for the lectures that I used to give you. To all the representatives from the state legislature, I've been involved in this since the beginning. There's one name here that hasn't been mentioned, and I'm going to mention it, and that's Representative Al Carlson. That first funding that came out of the House and House appropriations was a street fight. That is as tough a job that I've ever been involved in. But Al Carlson, towards the end of the session, and I realize he's got to consult with governors and everybody else, but he made me a promise. He said, you're going to get the first $350 million. And I'll never forget, when you have people like that that represent us, doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on, doesn't decide what their gender is, but they gave their word. And we're here today because of that. So I have a special thank in my heart to Al and to all the people that have ever served in the legislature that had confidence in us that we were doing the right thing. A special thank you to Martin Nicholson, who has been a mentor of mine in the short time that I've actually been on this board. Like I said, I've been involved in this for 12 years, but I've only been on the board a short time. You've been a great confidant, great advisor. I appreciate that. To John Shockley, I have the great joy of working with Mr. Shockley just about every day. He's my city attorney also, but also in the diversion. John, I wrote you a note last night and I said I was in awe of your abilities and how you've got us here today. I'm still in awe today and I'll be in awe tomorrow. Thank you, sir. Joel Paulson, your leadership in the short time that you've been on the helm. Obviously, you and I were on the joint governor's deal. That's the first time that I ever met Joel Paulson. Your leadership has been immensely influential on giving us here too. Major General Holland, Colonel Jensen, thank you so much. Your team members, Chad mentioned it very quickly. The people working with you is amazing. We have so much to be grateful here. It is hard to stop because there are so many thank yous that have to go out. With that, from a grateful community of West Fargo. A lot of people say, well, why is West Fargo? You're not one of the major entities. Are we going to benefit? Absolutely. We've got hundreds of acres in the northwest that will now be flood protected, northwest of part of our city. Through that great technical advisory team that they've mentioned, and I know that Nathan's been mentioned and Bob's been mentioned, Jason Benson hasn't been mentioned, Dustin Scott hasn't been mentioned. Will the technical team stand up? You don't understand how critical. Jason Benson is over here, county engineer, Bob, Nathan. The first analysis of all of the bidding process were done by these men and their teams. Critical that we're at this point today because of their technical expertise. They put in weeks and weeks and hours. We're here again because of that great team effort of what those men did. So with that, I want to say thank you. Oh, there's one other benefit that West Fargo is going to get. Our neighbors to the east are protected. Our neighbors to the south are protected. We negotiated a deal with the Diversion Authority. West Fargo gets 500,000 cubic feet of dirt. No, we're not going to use it for snowboard piles. That's what Rick's thinking. We're decommissioning all of our lagoons to make our city a better place. That dirt, once that process of decommissioning is done, will fill those lagoons. So there's an effort for the public, again, seeing their tax dollars spent extremely wisely, that dirt that's going to be excavated from the channel has a home. From a grateful community to all of you around the table, to all of you past and present leaders, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Dardis. Well, we have with us Major General Diana Holland. We are deeply appreciative, Commander of the, as I say, the Mississippi Valley region, which covers a huge swath of the United States. She's here because of the importance of this project. General, you've got a fantastic team. Obviously, Colonel Jansen, and I'd call on you for some remarks, and also Colonel Jansen. I think, we want to make sure that we tell you, on the civilian side, people like Aaron Schneider and Terry Williams are family to us now. Aaron and I flew in on the plane last night, and I looked at him and said, why are you flying in here? I just figured you lived here the full time. And he said, yeah, it's almost like that. But for them, this has been, a labor of love. And I think they truly see this as, part of their life's work, that they're not just working on this project, they're working to build and complete this project. And I mean, they are absolutely 100% committed to that. And so, to have not only your uniformed people who we appreciate so much for all their service, not just the construction, but for all they do to protect and defend us, but your team on this project is the kind of team that everybody wants to have. That's people that live it and that are determined that we're going to complete it, right, Terry and Aaron? This is going to get done, and it's going to get done in 6 years because of their commitment and all their hard work. So, General, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Senator, Governor, Congressman, mayors, other distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for inviting us and allowing us to be a part of this ceremony. It is a really big deal, and we're just really thrilled to be here. As already mentioned, this is the first P3 contract for financing a civil works project in USACE's history. And to answer your question, Senator, it feels pretty good to be first, a part of something first.
Exactly.
So thank you for that. We look forward to its success and intend to encourage others to follow suit and seek similar creative, innovative financing solutions for their projects. In fact, just last night, I was in a state to the southeast of here with a group that's facing similar challenges with flooding along the upper Mississippi River. And I mentioned this particular effort about what partnership, collaboration, and creative financing can do if you set your minds to it. So we're very proud to be a part of this. I'd like to offer a shout out to the St. Paul District. They really are the best and brightest of the Army Corps of Engineers. the folks in the front row, but the hundreds behind them that aren't here, that work every day for the betterment of their portion of our region. They do a super job, and so proud of them. And the leadership of Kevin Wilson and Colonel Carl Jansen. Honestly, I would promote Carl Jansen to general right now.
Can we do
but
that right now?
I think you'll have to pass some new legislation to give me that authority. So. Right, that'd be great. But no, great leadership, great district, and just really proud that they are the face of the Corps up here. Sincere appreciation to the entire delegation, a whole host of advocates that made this possible. A lot of challenges along the way, and we talk about that with our other partners and stakeholders. This is not easy, but when you collaborate and partner and think creatively and work together and offer a common vision for the good of your communities, it is possible. Lieutenant General Spellman sends his congratulations on this big day and his commitment that USACE, we will do our part to support the project to completion on time and within budget. So again, thank you for the partnership and for inviting us to be here on this great day.
Thank you, General. It's really cool that General Spellman knows all about this project. It's not often that, that somebody who's the head of the Corps of Engineers knows intimately all about a project, but it says a lot that he does. Thanks for being here, for your leadership. Colonel Jansen, to you and to Aaron and Terry, I want to give you guys a chance to just say, whatever's on your heart.
Sir, thanks very much for this opportunity. It's wonderful to be a part of this terrific celebration, and we're so happy for the entire community and, of course, our partner with the Diversion Authority. This is for our district, and Senator Hoeven touched on this. This is truly a once-in-a-generation opportunity for our people to serve our fellow citizens to this magnitude, and it's not lost on them. This is a wonderful community, Commissioner, and they are honored to serve in this capacity. They're all in. We're in the Army. Our job's to win, and that's what we're going to do here. We're thrilled to be part of a winning team. It truly is. We're going to get a tough job done. We're going to do it well and make it so it's built to last, and that's our commitment. Thank you.
And we're very pleased with the Jansen rule. I don't know how many people know about it, but we like the fact that you have implemented the Jansen rule in St. Paul, which is that nobody can work on any other project until the Red River Valley Flood Protection Project is completed. And that is the Jansen rule. We're so pleased. Aaron, Terry, you guys first stand up and face the crowd, and please give these guys, they've lived this project, give them a round of applause and thank them, will you? Guys, anything you want to say? Grab a mic right there if there's anything.
I will say thank you to some people that originally were on the team.
Pick one of those things up, turn it on, and spin around.
Push the button and
No,
spin
but
around.
face the other way. Face the other way. No.
Oh, okay. Oh, wireless.
Yeah.
Good technology. All right. So we started this within the Corps of Engineers in 2008, and there were a lot of people here, and tons of people, obviously, that made this happen. But there were some seeds that were planted in 2008 that started this, and then again, 7 years ago, we planted the seed for public-private partnership. So I need to make sure that we get Bob Zimmerman to stand up. He stood up once before, but he's doing it again. And this is a Friday. This violates his meeting.
Look that way.
Bob Zimmerman, Mark Bittner, Lee Beauvais, Greg Thielman, and then an honorary original member is going to be Terry Williams because I trust her more than anybody ever on this project. But that core team started this project, and they have all been there the entire way. They've been committed, and we have fought every single battle, and we are committed to getting this done. This is definitely a career achievement for many of us, and in public service, if you get to see one project done of any size, it's an accomplishment. To see the first P3 project done within the Army Corps of Engineers ever, to have innovative financing and take a new approach is just something that's a great accomplishment for us all. So I want to thank the original team for everything they did, and Terry Williams for her great leadership over the years. But it's been a wonderful journey, and we're going to get this done, and I look forward to the ribbon cutting in 6 years or so.
No.
Aaron, it's 6 years. There's no so in that. It's 6 years. The senator and I have worked hard on that, so we expect the Corps to come through.
Yeah, no or so. It's not 6 years or so. It's 6 years. 6 years. Oh, less than 6. I got you. Let's see. We're going to wrap up with Joel Paulson. Before I do that, though, I want to just check and see, like Pepcorn. What's that? Yeah. Terry, go. Sorry. Don't let him hog the whole thing. Come on. Are you sure? All right. Well, if you change your mind, we're not quite done. So, and we got a mic right there. So I mean it. All right. Pepcorn, do you want to say something?
Can I say a couple real quick ones? First of all, Darrell Vanyo was your predecessor, and he took the most slings and arrows. Back in the day, he would go into the southern part of the valley, and also from me, so I would like to apologize for that, but I think he deserves a special recognition. And also Roger Olson, I really like, he has kind of represented the landowners, and he is one, and also a lot of his friends and family, and so I think he played a really awesome role in keeping that perspective for all of us, and so I think you deserve some special recognition, so thank you for that. And when the mayor talked about Mayor Wallaker being here, I'm telling you, Mayor Wallaker is here, and if he was here, he'd say, well, what the hell's taking so long? Why don't you guys get this?
Yeah, you're right.
That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Roger.
Yes. Thank you, Dave.
And he's right. You have really been the voice of the landowner. It's been very important.
Thank you. It is important. And I look at the opportunity that my Cass County Joint Board gave me several years ago to be a Diversion Authority representative for the Cass County Joint Board. And it's been an awesome experience. And I wouldn't have missed it. Back when we were on a, let's decide how we're going to protect this community. Several things were laid out on the table. And I'm from Leonard. It's where Denny was from. And we're about 100 feet above the valley. So I'm listening to all of these ideas, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to throw this out on the table. Let's see if we can't get a light rail to Leonard so that when Denny says the water's coming, we all get on the light rail and get up to the high ground. But I guess I got to give up on that right now. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for your support, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Roger. All right. Any of the other commissioners want to add something before we're going to turn it to Joel? And then just back to Mayor Carlson for the wrap. But go ahead, Joel, your kind of wrap-up thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. And I won't take much time. I think everyone's pretty well been thanked. But obviously, I'd like to thank you, Senator Hoeven, for all your hard work in Washington, and Congressman Armstrong. Thank you for your continued support. Governor Burgum, our relationship on this program goes back to the governor's task force. And of course, Mayor Dardis is absolutely correct. Without your involvement in intervening in the situation, we certainly wouldn't be where we are today. I just want to share just a little bit of my own personal perspective from last night and this morning. As part of the procurement process, I was not privy to bid numbers. I didn't receive them until this morning. So needless to say, I didn't get much sleep last night because I didn't know what kind of a speech or recommendation I'd be asking the board. But the numbers we got are almost spot on with our estimates. And this has been a process of 3-4 years in the making, hundreds of thousands of labor hours that have gone into this. And so, I would be remiss if I didn't thank the Diversion Authority staff and the consultants that are working on this program on a daily basis. It's through the leadership of this board and through our state and federal leaders that folks like our engineers and our staff and our consultants can do the great work that they're doing. And we're just getting started. We're just starting construction of one of the biggest pieces of this program. And so we got a lot of work to do, but I'm confident that we are in good hands, and as Colonel Jansen had said before, we intend to win, and there's no compromise. We can't lose. It's too important of a project, and so looking forward to working with the Colonel or maybe General tomorrow. I'm not sure, but thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Joel. Terry, did you decide? Are you unverklumped? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, and God bless you for all your work. Okay, we're going to turn it back to the chairman of the Diversion Authority, Mayor Carlson, for wrap up, and then we'll have a short press conference outside there.
Thank you so much, Senator Hoven, and everyone around the table, and all the allies and partners that we have in the audience also. Just a few weeks ago, I was in the Grand Canyon, and I actually hiked up 8 miles from the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and I feel that this is a good analogy to this flood journey that we are all on. It's a journey. It's hard. I think of sandbags. I think I had a 25-pound sandbag. It felt like in my backpack that I had on up this journey, but there were certain milestones that we were able to sit down and rest and take a deep breath and say, wow, we made it quite a ways. We have a ways to go, but we are more than halfway there. We have 6 more years, and then we're really going to have a good celebration like I did when I got on top of the Grand Canyon and looked down and was shocked. It's in amazement how far we've come, and it's in amazement the accomplishment that we've made here today, and we have a lot more to accomplish. But let's take a pause and celebrate, take a drink of water, perhaps later a drink of something else, and keep celebrating. We were going to move up to the dais to begin the press conference portion of today's agenda. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. As we are all sitting or taking our seats, I'd like to open this portion of the agenda for the press conference. Again, my name is Mayor Shelley Carlson. I'm also the chair of the Metro Flood Diversion Authority Board. Again, this selection is momentous. It is the first in the nation. I like to be on the winning team. This is awesome. It's really just been an amazing year so far. We have not just the award of the P3, but we will be soon signing the WIFIA loan, which you will hear more about that a little bit later in the press portion part of this. Again, just remember that our successes really are partnerships. Without this partnership across state lines, county lines, city lines, this would not have been made possible, and also without the strong public support. We do recognize that we have a lot of work to do in our communities that are going to be most directly affected by this project, but it's to honor the support and sacrifices that have made thus far on this project that we recognize that there's a lot left for us to do. It's been a long journey since 2009, but I'm confident that we are going to bring this project to fruition and tie a big bow and do a big, huge ribbon cutting in 6 years. So with that, I will turn this over to Senator Hoven.
Thanks, Mayor Carlson. Thanks for your great leadership. Thanks to everybody for being here. I'm going to turn it first to the governor for his comments, then I'll make some of my own. There's an old rule, and that is when you're in state, the governor goes first. And me, I'm kind of partial to governors. I am very fond of governors, and I'm particularly fond of this governor, because I don't think we could have a better governor than Governor Doug Burgum. And before I call on him, though, there's another guy I'm really fond of, and somehow I managed to miss him when we did all these recognitions earlier, but he's done so much for this area, for the Fargo, West Fargo metro area, but he's done so much for the state, and I've asked him to help me on a number of occasions. And I was astounded that he would say yes, but he always did. Former Mayor Bruce Furness. Bruce, stand up, will you, and give a wave. I can't think of anybody that epitomizes public service better than Bruce Furness. Thank you, Bruce. And with that, let me turn to our great governor for some comments. Governor Burgum.
Great. Thank you, Senator Hoven. Obviously, today is a day of celebration and a day of deep gratitude, but that gratitude goes to so many people over really decades of work And I'm sure the ideas about this project began even before the 97 flood, but certainly after the 97 flood. I think as citizens in North Dakota, we saw what happened to our neighbor in Grand Forks, what can happen when you have catastrophic flooding where you don't just lose homes, but you lose an entire community. And we saw it happen to Minot in 2011. And I think that solidified the resolve. And this has always been not just about flood protection. This is about families. It's about communities. It's about our future. We know that when we were in some of those situations, when we were here in Fargo and thought we were going to lose the city and we were evacuating hospitals and evacuating nursing homes, in this metro area is important not just to the region but to the whole state. Over 20% of the sales tax comes from this area, an entire research university, over $20 billion in property taxes that are protected here. We've got now approaching with all the new schools being built in the West Metro, over 60 K-12 buildings. A large significant portion of our long-term care for the statewide is now located here. So you cannot think of a project more vitally important than this. And I think it's all come together with ingenuity and with creativity and with the care that everybody in this community who got out and helped each other sandbag through all of those decades of battles that we're in, that same kind of energy has gone into this. And today is, again, a day to really celebrate, a day of gratitude. And part of that, of course, goes to Senator Hoeven and our federal delegation and what's going to be announced here. I mean, we've got creative financing, local, state, and federal. We've got a historic P3 partnership. This is not happening anywhere in the country. So the message here for people locally is not just that this is a great project for the metro area, but this is a great project for the entire U.S. because this will be a model of how infrastructure can get built smartly, built quickly, and built in a way that helps preserve and makes efficient use of taxpayer dollars. And so with that, I just want to say again, gratitude to everybody that's involved, and that is literally hundreds and hundreds of people. So again, thank you, and thank you, Senator, for your great work.
Thanks, Governor Burgum. Thanks for your leadership. So I guess the question that I'd asked earlier was, how does it feel to be first? And so for Fargo, for West Fargo, for Moorhead, for the Red River Valley, this is a first in the nation. It's absolutely a first in the nation. This is the first in the nation public-private partnership sponsored by the Corps of Engineers where you're building a major $3.2 billion flood diversion project. So it's a first PPP project in the nation, but it's also the first project that also has a WIFIA loan that will save hundreds of millions of dollars. So this is the model of the future, and this region is first in the nation doing it. That's huge. The other thing that I want to announce is what it means. So what does that mean? Okay, great. Versus a traditional Corps-sponsored project, this PPP project, what does that mean? And so actually the Corps of Engineers, Aaron and the whole crew has done that evaluation. And what that means is a savings on this project in terms of dollars of more than $330 million. And in terms of time, a savings of 10 years. So when we talk about this and somebody says, well, what does that mean? That's great. You're first in the nation. This is a PPP project. You got the WIFIA loan, all that. You say, well, in terms of dollars, we just saved $330 million. And in terms of time to build it, we just saved 10 years. And that's what it means. That's what it's all about. And those are the numbers that the Corps of Engineers has put together, comparing this to a traditional project. And so when we talk about a unique partnership between this region, between the communities, between Cass and Clay counties, between the states of North Dakota and Minnesota, and the federal involvement, it is a partnership that has created that kind of savings in time and in money. And that's a big deal. And so to all of you that have worked so hard to make this happen, starting back in about 2009, I think it was, Mayor Mahoney, that's the result that you've achieved for the taxpayers of this region. So you're not just protecting their homes, their lives, and their property. You're doing it 10 years faster, and you're saving more than $330 million. Those aren't made up numbers. Those are numbers from the Corps of Engineers. So I'd mentioned earlier that Mayor Mahoney, it's taken more than 12 pieces of legislation to put in place the federal authorization of $750 million, which was originally $450 million, and the WIFIA loan, which is $569 million. It's taken, and then just the PPP, it's taken 12 pieces of legislation so far. And almost every time it was Mayor Mahoney or Mary Sherling or, one of the members of the Diversion Authority, county commissioners, somebody saying, hey, there's something we need to do here, and then coming down to Washington, D.C. and helping explain what we had to do and why we had to do it. And that's everything from appropriating dollars, which has already been more than $310 million on the federal end, most recently $115 million last year. It's been approving the authorization for the project, authorization for the new start, authorization for PPP, even things like getting easements. We've had to pass legislation so we could deal with easements in the footprint, all those things. And then, of course, at the state level, Governor Burgum, and we'd mentioned the legislators that are here. We want to say thank you and God bless all the legislators that are here. We recognized a number of them earlier. But any legislators that are here, stand up, give a wave. Again, we want to thank you. Okay, they're bashful or they left, but wouldn't happen without the and then, of course, at the local level, the cooperation between the cities and the counties. But this is truly, like I say, a first in the nation, and that means a real difference for the people of this region. I should do one other thing before I turn it over to our next speaker, and then there's a ceremonial signing that we'll have in just a minute. We're pleased to have Congressman Kelly Armstrong here. He'll say a few words, but before I turn it over to him, Senator Kramer has a letter. I just want to read that. Dear friends, greetings to all as you gather today to celebrate the announcement of the Metro Flood Diversion Authority P3 partnership and ceremonial signing of the EPA's Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Loan. In its management of the public and private financing, along with design, construction, operations, and maintenance, the P3 partnership will ensure the project will be completed and deliver its many benefits to the area for years to come. Likewise, today's signing of the $565 million EPA WIFIA loan secures the federal financing for moving ahead with construction. It has taken decades of work by many committed individuals and all associated with the Fargo-Moorhead diversion project for you to reach this point, including West Fargo and the whole region. As full-scale construction moves forward, the goal of permanent flood protection to this area comes closer to becoming a reality. I thank all of you present today for your dedication to this long overdue and essential project, and I want to give a special shout out to Senator Hoeven. Well, that's nice. I'm glad I read the letter. For his tireless shepherding of the federal components of this project. Congratulations on this special day. I send my best wishes for every success as construction moves forward from Senator Kevin Kramer. And Mayor, I'll turn it back to you because I know you want to give a long, glowing introduction of Kelly Armstrong, so I better turn it back to you.
Thank you, Senator. Well, Representative Armstrong and I recently met under not great circumstances. It was at a funeral, actually. So this is a much better meeting, our second meeting. I don't have your full resume in front of me, but I do know that you're from the western part of North Dakota, which I actually is also from the western part of North Dakota. So I feel like you and I have commonalities there. So thank you for being here today. It's a great honor to have such great representation from our federal partners, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the EPA, and also Governor Burgum. But thank you, and I'll just turn it over to you.
Thank you. I don't think it's a secret, or I don't think it's luck that this is the first in the nation project. This started with local community leaders on both sides of the river. This isn't going to come as a shock to everybody, but not everybody in North Dakota lives in the Red River Valley. Not everybody in Minnesota lives in the Red River Valley. Not everybody in the Red River Valley was on board with this project. So this started with local leaders being tireless advocates. And every time there was a stumble or a bump, there was a new group of people and the same old people continuing to do this. And we had a governor who made sure and got the collaboration on both sides of the river to get this project done. And then we had a U.S. senator who understands how to finance these projects and how to do all of these things. And we have a whole bunch of people that were here earlier and that are still here, and that are some that are no longer with us, that have tirelessly advocated for this project because we know how important it is. I was in Grand Forks in '97 when we lost the town. We can never let that happen. And the only way we don't is by doing this and getting creative and having willing partners at the local, state, private, and federal level. And so I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I really appreciate the support we've gotten from Governor Burgum, Senator Hoeven, and all of the community leaders on both sides of the river. So thanks.
Thanks, Kelly. Let's go next to, we had Major General Holland here. She had to catch a plane. But Colonel Jansen, would you like to say, soon to be General Jansen, would you say a few words?
Hey, thanks very much, Senator. On behalf of Lieutenant General Spellman, the Chief of Engineers, and Major General Holland, the Commanding General of Mississippi Valley Division, really honored to join the community here today for such an important announcement. The vision of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is to engineer solutions for the nation's toughest challenges, and one of those toughest challenges right here in the Fargo-Moorhead metro area. And the P3 project, the P3 idea, is one way we can revolutionize the way we address those challenges, and it's fantastic that we can be part of this experience and be leaders for the rest of the country as they follow in Fargo-Moorhead footsteps. Besides the fact that we save time and money, the priority of the Corps of Engineers is public safety, first and foremost. And the 10 years of savings also ensures that people are safer, faster. And that's something also to be celebrated with this idea. The announcement today, I think, is a huge step towards irreversible momentum for the project. And it only came about, I think, because of the very savvy and sophisticated minds behind the P3 within the Corps of Engineers, and especially within the Metro Area Diversion Authority. So thanks for the honor to be here, and congratulations to the community.
Sorry, we're going to turn to Joel Paulson, but you might have to let Shockley add a little bit too, and however you think best. Maybe you guys can tag team it. How's that?
Yeah, absolutely, Senator. And I'll let John explain some of the significance of the WIFIA, because I think that's really important. And I guess I'll deliver the news that we did close on the loan today. So we will be having a signing.
You might mention how close you came to your estimated number. I think that's absolutely remarkable.
Absolutely. So when you look at the bid results that we got, it is almost identical to what our cost estimates were. And keep in mind, these cost estimates were prepared prior to COVID. And in the markets, we've seen significant swings in prices of materials, labor issues, all kinds of different things. And so I think it really says something about the due diligence that was put into this by our team, and the amount of thought and carefulness that they took in preparing the estimate. And of course, we make huge decisions based off of these numbers that we're expecting to need. And to see a bid come in so close to our estimate, and to have all of our financing basically locked up for the P3 portion of this project, and to be able to move into construction with all permits, no litigation, it really is impressive. And I think in my mind, that 10-year period of savings for the P3 versus traditional design bid delivery, there's no doubt we would have another massive event in that 10 years. I mean, we have had 7 of the top 10 floods in the last 2 decades. So there are going to be massive floods that are going to be coming, and the ability to get this done in 6 years is pretty impressive. To provide that safety and that security and have permanent, reliable flood protection, extremely important. So I'll turn it over to John, because I think he's really been the point person when it comes to a lot of the creative financing that's been done on this project. And I think today is a very important day to celebrate the WIFIA loan and what that means for the project. And so I'll turn it over to you, John.
Thank you, Joel, and I'd like to just extend a thank you to Senator Hoeven, Governor Burgum, and Congressman Armstrong. Your support for the project has just been unwavering. With respect to the P3, or with respect to the WIFIA loan, when we went after the WIFIA loan a year and a half ago, it was really, a challenge. It was a challenge to the project to look at alternative financing vehicles to really lower that cost of capital for the project. And to get to the finish line today, it means real savings for the community. And this is savings in addition to what we've seen with the P3. With the interest rate that we locked in today, it's about $438 million of interest saved to the community. WIFIA really provides that flexibility for the authority to sculpt its debt and to really take advantage of some of our other funding partners, like the state of North Dakota, like the Army Corps of Engineers, and some of the other and the local financing. And it really allows this program to create a multi-generational project in which you have more than one generation just paying for the project. I'd like to extend my thank you to WIFIA and US EPA. They have been absolutely wonderful to work with. The program provides a great amount of flexibility. Every challenge that we had with respect to the project, they helped overcome. For instance, as a condition to closing on the P3, we need to close on the WIFIA loan first, and we're accomplishing that today. They also worked with us through some of the more unusual, sophisticated portions of our financing package. Traditionally, WIFIA is utilized to finance water projects and storm sewer projects that are financed through rate systems. And we're using sales tax here. So really kudos to the staff at US EPA WIFIA. And thank you to Senator Hoeven for his great support of this program. I know there's a lot of discussion in DC about infrastructure and how these types of programs can benefit the United States as a whole. I think our program really shows what you can do when you work with multiple sources of funding and you use these federal programs to kind of bridge that gap. And I would say that, as Congress debates the infrastructure bills, they should really think about these alternative funding programs because they can really be the difference for a local program from not getting underway to completing the project. So thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Joel. And Joel, that's a huge point. I mean, to bring this in on budget with all the escalation in costs post-COVID it's mind-boggling. I mean, it's just amazing. Every project we're seeing around the country is having to be revised, and we're doing this all the time for military contracts, everything else. We're having to add additional funding because all the costs are up. Everyone knows that. And so to bring this in at your cost estimate, I think is just absolutely astounding. So great work to you guys, and thank you so much. We are very pleased to have with us Darcy O'Connor, who is a regional director for EPA, and she's up here to sign the WIFIA agreement, and we appreciate her being here very much. And so I think I'm going to ask Mayor Carlson, the chairman of the Diversion Authority, if she is ready to do the signing ceremony. Then we should put Mayor Carlson and Director O'Connor and Joel Paulson. I think we get you three right in here, and then the rest of us will stand behind, and we ought to sign this thing up, the WIFIA loan, and get her done. What do you think?
I think so, and I think if there's any other members of the Diversion Authority Board of Directors who would like to come up here, we also would like our technical staff to come up here, Mr. Nicholson, our amazing city manager in the city of Moorhead, Dr. Bob Zimmerman. I told you I'd get your name in here. If you guys want to come up here also.
Any Diversion Authority members, let's get them up.
And also North Dakota legislatures. There are so many people that have been a part of this. And a shout out and a thank you to Mayor Mahoney for providing the pens. Thank you so much. What am I don't
Okay,
even know
get it.
what
Here you go. Well, let's put the 3 chairs.
We're signing something
Verna,
here.
where's Mahoney? Come on.
Yes.
Diversion Authority, come on, guys, don't be shy.
Is
Legislators,
Mayor Furness still in here? I don't see him.
Mayor Furness, is he still here?
Not sure if Mayor Furness is
Come
in
on,
here or not.
commissioners. Chad, is he still here?
A lot of these guys have working jobs.
I think
I know.
maybe Aaron. Colonel Jansen,
Aaron,
please come over.
Aaron, come on, you and Terry come up here.
Yeah.
Beard's on one side.
That's right, that's the way to do it.
Colonel, we may need you on the other side to balance.
Balance it
Come
out.
across.
Yeah.
Oh, we got more coming over.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Now, wait, now, wait.
Everybody's bashful.
Get in, now
Okay.
scooch you in. Come on.
Scooch.
Get in here, scooch.
That's a very technical term,
When
scooch.
it gets uncomfortable, then it'll be right. So get in here close.
All right. Well, let's get this signed. All right. I'm gonna pretend.
Just like writing checks at home, 465.
Just another car loan. Lawyer cars.
All right.
All right.
We're done. We just signed one of the biggest loans ever. Thank you all. Thank you all. I think the press probably has some questions.
I don't know how stressful this is. Chad shaved this morning.
It is. I think it was a trim. So, I believe there is a microphone that is circulating around. So if members of the press have a microphone handy and would like to pose questions, feel free.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Hovind, you said this is going to make a real difference for people in the community. What message do you have to the Red River Valley community now that the project is moving forward towards the construction phase?
Well, this is exciting, and it's a huge milestone because this is a first in the nation public-private partnership with a WIFIA loan that's going to save more than $330 million and save us 10 years in building permanent flood protection for the Red River Valley. That is a huge win for the people of this region, not only in terms of protecting their lives and their property, but huge savings in terms of the cost of building that flood protection, and it's a model for the nation. This is truly a first in the nation.
Awesome. And then, what do you want to say to all the people in the community who have spent years sandbagging now that they won't have to do that anymore?
Well, that's just it. Instead of sandbagging, not only do they not have to go through all that work and effort to protect their homes and property, now that's going to be done with this project. And remember, it's the whole region. One of the keys is this is the local communities, the counties on both sides of the river, Cass and Clay County, multi-states, Minnesota and North Dakota working together along with the Federal Corps of Engineers, the federal project, an incredible partnership like none other that means now they're going to have that permanent flood protection and not have to be out there sandbagging every year. It really is a model project and a testament to the commitment of the people of this region to make it happen.
Awesome. And then what message do you have to people who were against this project?
One of the key aspects, and this is where I look to all these local leaders and to our great governor, this is an example of a project where through a lot of work, people have come together and made sure that it works for the whole region. Look, this is the communities, this is the counties, this is multi-state, this is the federal government, this is everybody coming together. But we talked about Roger Olson, who's a Minnesota commissioner, really being the voice of the landowners, the voice of the people. That is a vitally important part of this project. And of course, when Governor Burgum and Governor Dayton got together, we took a huge step forward. So the local leaders, the state leaders, the legislators, obviously our federal delegation, but that's what it took to make it happen. And that's the key. There was opposition, but the key is that everybody is included in terms of the solution and treated fairly in terms of getting this project completed. Gov, any thoughts on that one?
Well, I would just say the importance of the project. When we think about the three universities, MSUM, Concordia, and North Dakota State University, if you're anybody that either works with or attends those schools, this is important to you. If you work in healthcare, which is the largest employer in our community, whether that's at Sanford or Essentia or the dozens of long-term care facilities. I mean, 25% of the healthcare capacity in the state of North Dakota in terms of hospital beds is in the protected area. A significant portion of our long-term care beds are in the protected area. And if you're someone who cares about K-12 education, the fastest growing school district in the state is the West Fargo School District, which encompasses Horace and Harwood. So you got three communities there, and which will soon to be the largest in terms of number of students between there and Fargo. And then you throw in Moorhead, we're talking over close to 75 K-12 buildings are in the protected area. So when you think about the impact of this metro area and what it means just on the North Dakota side, close to 20% of the sales tax in the state. And we'd have to look no further than Minot in 2011 and Grand Forks in 1997, where we saw in our state, it's not theoretical. We saw entire communities wiped out by this. And so this is, when we talk about building this thing cheaper, hundreds of millions of dollars cheaper, and 10 years faster, that's 10 years sooner that every citizen that's paying flood insurance now will no longer have to pay flood insurance. That's 10 years less risk for businesses that want to expand and put capital into their businesses and grow because they're confident. And I think when you look out of the next 50 years, people are going to look back on today and you're going to say, this is a day in history, because if you look at the population of Winnipeg, when it really took off, and it started to grow, it took off after Winnipeg completed their diversion in the 1960s. And I think the metro area has been incredibly successful, but the future today got a lot brighter, because when you de-risk a community, that creates jobs, it creates confidence for families, it creates everything. And so you cannot underestimate how vitally important the project is, and you can't underestimate how historic today is. And again, there's so many people here, but big thank you to Senator Hoeven and all the work they've done on the federal work. Thanks to all the legislators that came through this year with a bonding package to support this bill. And it's that kind of assurance on the financing that allowed the project to accelerate, that allowed us to save taxpayer dollars. And so again, a fantastic, great effort all around.
Thank you. Are there any other questions that would like to be posed from the press? None. Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you all for coming today, and cheers to reliable, permanent flood protection. And thank you for the sunglasses, Mayor Mahoney, because our future is so bright, we do have to wear shades.
Well done.